Well, welcome everyone to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, Mortgages for Seniors, part 5 in our series of Your Home Mortgage is Your Number One IOU with nationally recognized mortgage expert and author, Steve Walsh. Welcome to segment 5, Steve.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're into a hot subject because this is so not known. Every time I talk about reverse mortgages, they go, oh yeah, the income play, yeah. But there are really 3, maybe even if you want to say 4 strategies under the HECM laws. HECM is under HUD, FHA insured, and it's home equity conversion mortgage. That's what a reverse mortgage is. But we've always known it as an income play. Now we're going to talk about how can I purchase a home with HECM? How can I get an equity line of appreciating credit with HECM? Or maybe do a combination of both of those, buy a home and create an equity line immediately.
That's exciting.
I mean, it blows my mind. Wait till you hear these numbers. Some of these numbers are unreal. So let's go walk through it. You got to be 62. Can't
62,
be younger.
and you have to have some verifiable income.
And by the way, just keep it in mind, 62, it has to be your prime residence. It has to. It's not an option. Don't play games. There's guys that got caught in doing this already. It's got to be your prime. And in my view, even though there might be equity at the play at the end, I say you need to think about this home as your last home. I'm not saying you have to, but you should come to that mindset.
But think of all the misconceptions out there with a reverse mortgage. Oh, it's going to lead to foreclosure. Possibly if you die, when you die, the bank might take the house back. That's obviously one possible outcome. But I'm going to lose my house. No. I'm going to eat all the equity. No. These aren't all. There are so many different kinds of reverse mortgages that you have to look at each one individually. So which one do you want to start with?
Let's do home equity and at age 62 because this is the worst. Think about what I'm going to say. Yeah. This is the worst scenario. You're 62. If I tell you what the down payment is and the HECM laws, we're going to get into this in a second. Just remember, I'm giving you the worst numbers. If you're older, it's better. It's age determined.
Right.
So let's talk about it.
So someone comes in, they want to buy a house. They put 30% down, 40% down, depending on the age. They get the house, no payments. Simple.
Okay, now let's talk about the cap. What's the cap? $636,150. That's the top end.
That's it.
So let's say you're 62 and you just want to go right to the edge. And that means if you're going to buy the edge, then you should be looking at homes about $660,000 to $675,000 and work your way down to the 636 cap. Do you realize a 62-year-old male and female buying a home at the $636,150 are going to pay about this is all in, about $310,000, $313,000, somewhere in that vicinity. One-time payment. They do have a mortgage still, but they do not have a mortgage payment. So you're buying a $636,000 home for $315,000.
Right, $300,000.
What am I missing?
No, you're not missing anything. It's an option that I really didn't think was available to people. And here I was in the mortgage business, and people came to us and they always said, reverse mortgage. We hang up the phone. Hey, I want to tell you, we had the blinders on. Guilty as charged. And I met this borrower who bought a house in California back in 2010 using a reverse mortgage. And I go, well, but you live in Arizona now. She goes, well, yeah, I sold it. I bought it for $200,000, sold it for $500,000. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, I walked away with almost $300,000. Say what? And then she goes, I bought a house in Queen Creek, bought it for $200,000, sold it for $300,000. I'm like, oh my God, you've made a lot of money. Now this isn't normal, right? This isn't normal. This is an exception. But it just goes, I think it does help people realize it's not necessarily, you don't have to die in the house. There are other ways. You can pay it off. You can refinance it into a regular mortgage down the road. You can move. You can sell the property. So there are lots of options. It's not as rigid as maybe people think, like I get the reverse mortgage and I die and I give the keys to somebody. So there are a lot of options to get out of it if you want. You can just pay it off.
Well, think about this. The boomers have went through a crushing blow in the 2008. The housing market took equity like nothing else did. 401ks got slaughtered. Everybody felt the pain. Felt it. I was in a seminar where a woman got up to me and said, Steve, I just heard about this buy a home, purchase a home through HECM, the reverse mortgage. I only have $250,000. We were thinking about buying a home on the outskirts of the Phoenix area because that's all we could afford because we don't want to take a mortgage payment into our retirement. Now, Steve, I got to tell you, this is what he said. She goes, I want to know how much home could I buy with my $250 cash? She told me her age, her husband and her age. When they told me, and they were in their 70s, I said you could buy a home for $540,000 with $250,000. And it was the first time in any public seminar I've done in my entire career where the woman actually broke down and started weeping. Right. We're solving a problem here, and people don't realize there are a lot of boomers in trouble. We need to get out of our mortgage payment before this happens, before we come to retirement.
Yeah, that's you said it. I'll repeat it again. You can't, or you really should try to go into retirement without a mortgage.
Now, let's talk about the second one. This is we talked about this at the last break, but everybody says to you, you can go out online and say, should I get a HECM equity line of appreciating credit, or should I stay with the conventional HELOC loan? And there's a site out there that actually does a great job, kind of the yin and yang, a side-by-side comparison. Right. There is no comparison. I mean, it's not even close. Right. So think about this. You could buy a home today, and I have a client that said, Steve, I don't need I love my home. I don't need any income, and so I'm good with that. I said, how's your long-term care? She goes, well, I don't have any because I can't pass the test. And I looked at other products, and the math doesn't work for me. I said, well, you could buy a HECM equity line of credit. It appreciates. Right now, I think it's at 6 point whatever it is. And you can take care of yourself if something happens. And it appreciates every year you don't use it. It keeps going up and up and up.
Right. So I know you do your disclaimers. You're going to say your disclaimers later on. But I can't imagine why anybody would buy. I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't, when you turn 62, 63, and you own your house free and clear. You buy a house free and clear. I cannot think of a reason why you wouldn't get this product. I can't think of one. Why you wouldn't get the appreciating line. So if you don't do it, you stick it in the bottom of the sock drawer of the checkbook and you don't use it, it sits there compounding in your favor, compounding every year at the rate 6.5%, around 6% today, but 7-8%. And with interest rates probably going up, likely to increase over the next few years, that line increases, the appreciation on it increases. So what a great time to do it. And obviously, 4 or 5 years ago, we had a problem with them because a lot of people didn't have equity in their house. Now they have equity, so they can get into a reverse mortgage. Now somebody owns their house free and clear, they can get this line. It is an incredibly powerful option.
It's a huge backup for your financial reserve. If you're saying, Steve, I need a backstop in case something went wrong that I don't foresee, a lot of it usually is long-term care, medical expenses, living way longer, which is the number one risk to retirement, your longevity. So this is an excellent tool, and it is a tool. Think about this. If you have an equity line of credit, let's say for 5 years at 6%, let's say it's a static, and that number walked out, all of a sudden your $300,000 equity might be worth $3.5 to $375. So you say, wow, they went up. Listen, you could actually tap it for income reuse, no interest payment, no repayment. It's FHA, and there's no call. The loan can't be called. Now think about that.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah, your mortgage. What if your home value went down? It wouldn't be called. See, to me, that is a monster issue.
We all make vows. I'm never going to let 2008 happen again, right? And I think that's it. If your house goes up in value, hey, God bless, congrats, that's awesome. If your house goes down in value, your equity line of credit is still going up in a compounding manner. It's going up. It's increasing. So your house can be worth, I don't want to use numbers, but $300,000, and you have $1 million credit line on it. Wow. So you create this hedge where you're not. It's beautiful. It's an incredibly powerful tool.
I was with a client the other day, and the client says, Steve, what's the number one thing? You're a little older than me. He was talking about me, and he says, when you came 62, tell me all the cool things there. Well, here you got 10%. You got all the discounts for food, apparel. You can go anywhere and just flash your seniorness, and they'll go ahead and give you a discount. I said, but when I got to 62, I had a whole new way of looking at things called the HECM laws, which are home equity conversion mortgages. And I cannot believe how favorable. Remember, the government gives Social Security for retirement. They give Medicare for the medical side. Now they're helping you with your housing in retirement. This is a huge opportunity. And I know you're jealous. You wish you were 62.
Right now, I think what I want to do is quit my day job. Essentially, I want to go out and tell the world about this because, I want to give this sermon. I want to get on top of a mountain and just scream. If you and your house free and clear, at least do this. At least do this. At the very minimum, just get the line of credit, shove it in the drawer, and don't think about it. And if you need it, use it. But otherwise, shove it in the drawer. Get rid of them, or they're just a great product all around. But that one got me really excited because a lot of people have their home paid off, and they call us up and they're like, Well, in case of an emergency,
Sure.
I want a credit line. And so that's what I've been doing for 20 years, just giving, okay, here's a $200,000 credit line. But that may be called, it could be closed at any time, and you're going to have a payment when you start taking money on it. Here, the Plan B is so much better, so superior, that everybody should really be considering it.
Well, I want to thank Steve for sharing these series on your home mortgage, your number one IOU. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas we talk on the show, especially this last segment, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or your financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.